Also to highlight, in 2015, he received the Young Scientist Award, and following on 2016, he received the Environment Scientist Award, and recently in 2020, he received the Best Scientist Award. He is also associate member of government think tank on environment and development. He was lead author of Asia Pacific Regional Assessment Biodiversity Assessment of IPBES. Uh, so, prior to joining Tata Steel, Dr. Hishmi has worked with several government and non-government organizations. Also, he has 2 books and several papers and more than 160 articles in his credit. So, I think I'll keep on talking and praising him more and more. So I would like Dr. Hishmi to take over, and the platform is yours, sir. You can start.
So again, good evening to all. Thank you, Shruti, for giving my introduction. And it is always a pleasure when we are talking with the researchers and the people like who are doing something related to the. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So when we are talking about the ecosystem services and the importance of the ecosystem services, this is very important all of us to understand that how as an engineer or how as a scientist we can contribute. So in the next 30 to 45 minutes, I will talk about that why the world is talking about the ecosystem restoration and how the ecosystem restoration is now need of hour, why everyone is talking about the ecosystem restoration. I will briefly talk about the Agenda 2030, which is, you perhaps aware about it, that in 2015, the United Nations has launched the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and how these goals are very, very important for the world, for the developing country as well as developed countries. I will also talk about the national biodiversity target. So you can align your research, you can think about it, that how we are contributing to the national biodiversity targets. I will briefly talk about how we are the part of the solution, that many of the time that we know there is a problem and we feel that it is the responsibility of a government. So I will explain you that many of the problems are in the nature where if we are contributing, definitely we are part of the solution. I will also talk about that how individually you can contribute in protection of biodiversity. So in the next 30 minutes, I will talk about it. And Shruti, you have quoted about the United Nations Secretary General, what he was telling on the World Environment Day. So the theme of this year World Environment Day was ecosystem restoration. And on the 5th June, the United Nations has launched the Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, and that has started from 2021 to 2030. So I just explaining you what is the ecosystem restoration. Ecosystem restoration is that when we are contributing or when we are using the means in preventing or halting the damage to the ecosystem. So we are exploiting this Mother Earth, the nature we are exploiting. I'm sorry for using this harsh word, exploitation, because whatever we are getting from the Mother Earth, we are not returning back. That's why it is exploitation. And this is the time for healing. When we are talking about the ecosystem restoration, it is something healing. Ecosystem restoration is not just healing to the Mother Nature. It will provide a significant amount of, I would say, the livelihood to the people. It will provide a significant amount of climate resilient society. It will also help in reducing the biodiversity damage or the loss to the biodiversity which is happening globally. So these are the few things that since 1974, the world is celebrating the World Environment Day. And every year there is a different theme. And these themes are quite pertaining to the problem which is around us. So understanding with this background, the United Nations also come with the concept of restoration generation. So we are fortunate that we are part of a society or a generation which has been given a very difficult responsibility to restore this Mother Earth. You perhaps read about the 3 Rs. So these are 3 Rs when we are talking about environment conservation, when we are looking about the environment sustainability. So these are the reduce, reuse, and the recycle. So we all remember these 3 Rs, but I'm sure from this talk you will include these 3 additional talk are in your research or in your thinking. These are reimaging. Try to reimagine the things what was happened in the past, how the things were happened in the past. Try to create it, recreate. So this is the second R, that how you can recreate the things. The third R is restore. So if there is a damage has been happened, that how you can restore it. And there are very simple things which we can do in our day-to-day life. So what we can do it, we can grow the trees, we can green our cities, we can wild our gardens, so we can clean the water bodies, we can clean the river bank of rivers. So you are fortunate that you are in Kanpur and where you are having opportunity to clean the Ganga. Similarly, at Jamshedpur, we are having opportunity to clean 2 rivers. There is a Kharkai and Subarnrekha. These are the 2 rivers. On the confluence of these rivers, this steel town has been established just to understanding the sustainable water supply for the future. So this is the background of the Jamshedpur city, why it is here at Jamshedpur, because of 2 rivers. So now you can understand that how much important these resources are for us. Now briefly I talk about that the nature is dangerously declining. You perhaps not observe, but now you are seeing that the whole world is talking about it, and whatever is happening, it is unprecedented. The COVID-19 which has happened around us, it is very unprecedented. That what is happening, it is having a very high accelerating rate. So whatever we are doing, the global communities, what they're doing, all these things are insufficient. So we understand that there is a very strong need to do some actions, and action should be very strong to give a transformative change. Until and unless we are giving this transformative change, we cannot stop the diminishing or the extinction of about 1 million species from this Mother Earth. So about 1 million species are about to extinct out of 8.6 million species. So now you can understand that so much huge amount of the species are under the threat, and the actions which we are taking, these are insufficient. So for us, it is very important that if whatever we are doing, we need to align our work, align our research, align our actions in such a way that we should provide a conservation society. I'm talking about the emerging trends. I was part of the IPBS assessment. This is Intergovernmental Panel for Ecosystem and Biodiversity Services. So in that, there was a group of scientists globally, about 1,000 scientists, and I was a lead author from the Asia Pacific. So we have identified about 88,000 kilometer forest area. So now you can understand that this much of a forest area globally we are losing from this Mother Earth. In this forest, you perhaps understand and know that these are the lungs for the Mother Earth. And these are not just the lungs for the Mother Earth. These are the source of sustainable livelihood. These are the source of the ecosystem services. So if this much amount of the forest we are losing every year, you can understand what could be the adverse impact on our life on the Mother Earth. The second most important thing that we have evaluated and found that since 1970, about 50% of the wildlife has been diminished from this Mother Earth. So the population of wildlife is reducing. So now you can understand that once the population of wildlife is reducing, definitely it will having an adverse impact on our lives. The third very important aspect was the bees. You perhaps know about the honeybees because they provide the honey to us. So 37% of the bee population has been reduced. In this bee population, the pollinators are responsible for 35% of the food supply. So now you can understand in your material science or the bioscience or bioresource, whatever the research you are doing, that how you can align the loss of the bees, as the population of bees reducing, and these are impacting the 35% of our food supply. So if we are not having these pollinators around us, so we will not having a sustainable food supply. Our food security will be hampered. The beautiful flowers which we have seen around us, so 90% of these flowers are dependent on the pollinators. Until we will get the good supply, until we will get the pollinators, our flowering will not be happening around us. Another very important aspect was that you perhaps know that about 70% of the earth is the water, 30% is the land mass. And in that 30% of the land mass, about 75% terrestrial indicators or the terrestrial ecosystem has been badly damaged. This is the reason that the World Economic Forum and the whole world is talking about restoring the ecosystem, that we have damaged with 75% of the ecosystem. There is a reduction in 47% of the indicators like availability of the oxygen, water, the food supply globally because of our adverse impact. About 28% of the global communities are dependent on these resources. So now you can understand that if these resources are damaging or reducing, how badly that will impacting the 28% of the Aboriginal communities. Since 1980, we are extracting more than 60 billion. Just mind the figure, 60 billion material we are extracting from the Mother Earth, renewable and non-renewable. And if you calculate, this is more than 240 billion tons of the material. And since in last few years, since 1980, we have calculated our per capita consumption as an individual has increased 50%. So now you can understand that if our water consumption, if our food consumption, electricity consumption is increasing with this speed, so definitely the resource scarcity will be one of a major problem for all of us in future. Another very important aspect we are able to evaluate that in last 300 years, since 1700 to 2000, about 85% of the water bodies has been diminished. So when these water bodies are diminishing, these water bodies play a very important role like the kidney for us. So now you can think that can you survive without lungs? Can you survive without kidney? If your lungs are damaging, if your kidneys are damaging, you cannot survive for a long time without the support. That is the reason that the whole world is thinking to talk about the ecosystem restoration. So with this context, I'm sure now we are having a better understanding why the world is talking. When we are not a biology student, when we don't read the biodiversity, we feel that the biodiversity is just growing the tree. This is not growing the tree. This is basically the whole life around us. Another very significant aspect that in 2011, a research paper has published in a Nature magazine. You can go and read the complete detail. If you are a geology student, then you can understand this, how the geological things has been happened in the past. And this geologist has recorded the things what happened in the past. And there is a term which is called past is the key of the future. So what has happened in the past, if we evaluate, so under the paleontology or we read and we evaluate that how the life form has been happening on this earth. So you perhaps know that the origin of earth happened 4.6 billion years before. So the reason I'm talking about the geology, so we are on the starting point of the 6th great mass extinction. So this is the Predley. You perhaps read in the spiritual books, some Predley happened in the past. So 5 Predley already has been happened. And this has been recorded and evidence has been collected by the scientists in the past. The first was happened about 440 million years before. That was the Ordovician period in terms of the strategy of the stratigraphy is a science in which we have give the dating to the Mother Earth that what has happened in the past. So almost 86% of the species has been vanished from this earth. So whenever more than 75% species are about to extinct in a small time period, it is called the extinction. So we are on the verge of a starting point of the sixth great mass extinction. The first happened in the Ordovician, second happened in the Devonian. You perhaps read about that was the age of the fishes when there is evolution of the fishes that happened. It was about 360 million years before. When that evolution has happened, almost 75% species has been vanished. The third happened in the Permian when uh, 250 million years before, and 96% species has been happening. You perhaps seen the movie The Lost World and Jurassic Park. If you have not seen, please watch these movies, and these are available on the YouTube as well as Netflix. So these are the movies which remind you how the past happened, how the animals has evolved, and how they have diminished. The reason I am talking about it, the Cretaceous, which was happening 65 million years before the last mass extinction, and after the Cretaceous, the first fossil sign of the human has been found on this Mother Earth. So it is very important for our life, for your future, for our generation future, that if we are not taking the corrective action, if we are not arresting the ecosystem which is damaging, definitely it will impact our future. Definitely it will impact all the things what we are having around us. So if you are having any question right now, so we can take a pause for a few minutes before I enter into the next section of my talk. If there is any question?
Yes, this is Kantesh. I wanted to ask quickly one thing. You have talked about biodiversity, so one more aspect of that is, typically we are attuned to maybe eating more grains, seeing more species around us. So you have any thought on what impact it might also have on our eating habits, apart from materials, what impact it can have on maybe say eating habits?
So you are asking about eating habits.
Yeah, no, I'm asking because all this extinction you're talking about, so extinction of multiple species, also the food grains also are getting, I think the varieties actually we are losing out when it's a rice variety or wheat variety. So you have any thought on how it might impact maybe say our eating habits, because we are not seeing as we were used attuned to seeing it earlier?
Could you, your question, so please again repeat your question. I just try
Yes.
to understand.
Sure. Because
yeah.
you're conveying that with evolution and all, I think with some time there is some extinction of multiple number of species and all around us. So because it's always good to eat, I think, multiple varieties, so that also our immune system also keeps working on it, gets exposed to so by that, if food grains, like we have wheat varieties which are also getting extinct, which were there earlier, they are no more there because of this. So how that might impact us in some sense, that's what I think. I was thinking aloud. I mean, just thinking, so maybe it may not be directly relevant to this.
Your question is, I think it is very important question. I'm having some slides. I just putting up these slides so we can have a more connection what I am talking. So I will talk about the health and different kind of herbs. So I will talk about briefly about the medicinal plants. So the reason our health is deteriorating because we are not getting the balanced diet. This is one of a very basic thing that why we are not fit, because we are not eating what supposed to eat, and that is the reason that we have indicated we are getting the genetically modified food grains. We are getting the food grains which are not having. So this is again a very vast subject. So right now I'm talking about ecosystem restoration, but I will share my detail with you, and I love to explain you about the question you have asked. So many of the species, now you understand, now one can correlate, as you have very rightly talked about the food grains, how these food grains we are losing these grains or varieties So now you can understand these varieties are important for our day-to-day life. I briefly explained about the bees. So we did not consider bee as so much important until we got the honey, and honey also many people don't get. But when we have done the global assessment of this biodiversity, and we have found that about 35% of our food security is dependent on these pollinators. And once these 37% of these pollinators are going to be reduced, so definitely our food supply is going to be impacted. So
Yes.
am I able to give
Yes.
the, so
Yes.
may I get the right to share my screen? Host, please give me the
Yes.
right. Shruti or Zanu, whoever is the host, please give the right so I can share my slides. Yeah,
Now
thank
I
you.
think now you can share.
Yeah, thank you. So my screen is visible.
Not yet. It has started. Yeah, it has started, but not yet.
So I talked, so this is slide number 3. It is visible to you.
Yes, it is visible now. Thanks.
And so I was talking about this reimagine, recreate, and restore. So now you can add additional these 3 R's. So we are the restoration generation. I have talked about this, what the decline is happening, and how these more than 1 million species are about to extinct. I talked about this, so you can get further refer it, and you can include some of the things in your further evaluation of your research. So I talked about all these trends. So I was part of that research. I talked about this sixth great mass extinction. Uh, so now I'm talking about you can now correlate between climate change and the biodiversity loss. So this is something which the understand there is a biodiversity loss is happening, and climate change and the climate severity is also impacting the market value of the goods and services what we are getting it. And if we are not able to build a, a society which is a climate resilient, yeah, until and unless we are conserving the ecosystem. So you, as a scientist or a researcher, you perhaps know about the carbon and the water cycle. I will not spend much time to explain these 2 cycles, but you can understand that these 2 cycles are very, very important for the survival. When the origin of Earth has happened and the origin of life happened on the Mother Earth, these 2 cycles were very important for our survival. And these 2 cycles are now getting the impact because of ecosystem has been badly impacted. So if we want to restore ecosystem, we are going to restore this the ecology around this, biodiversity around this, it will help these 2 carbon and the water cycle. So when we are cutting the trees, they absorb the carbon dioxide. Now the amount of this absorption is reducing. So that's why there are phenomenal increase in the temperature. There is a phenomenal growth in the floods and the droughts because these trees in the forest play a very important role as a watershed. Similarly, if we are not conserving the water bodies, the reason of great floods in Mumbai, Chennai, in many of the towns, even in Kanpur, you perhaps seen during the rainy season, there is a logging because many of the places which were having the water now and these the rainwater is now accumulating there, and we don't have a sufficient amount of water to percolate, and it is also getting a problem of availability of clean water. So we are having only 0.009% of drinking water available, and this water is again polluting because of we are not conserving the water bodies. So now I am going to talk the Agenda 2030, which is you perhaps read in 2015, the United Nations come with these 17 wonderful targets or goals. And these targets are basically to tackle some of the pressing social, economic, and environmental problems. So that has been designed in such a way that if something is happening in America, if something is happening in Australia, India, anywhere in the world, that should be addressed significantly. Many of the time, there is always debate that the developing and the developed countries are having different yardstick of the measurement, but that SDGs are coming with a goal to provide the uniformity. So it also considered on a national level, it also talked about the state level, it also talked about the district level. And that also talked about the businesses, just like Tata Steel or any other business. It also talked about the institution contribution. So in these SDGs, 17 SDGs, there is a significant amount of designing has been done in such a way that people must be accountable, the government must be accountable, and these targets are the time bound. So the reason the name 2030, because the world want to achieve all these things by 2030. So they've given the name 2030. Poverty. No should be poverty. There should not be no poverty on this matter. COVID-19 was not factored in. Now, if you talk about the COVID-19, so you can think about the good health and the well-being, the zero hunger, quality education. So we are fortunate we are have opportunity to study in some of the premier institutes in India, in abroad as well. So I'm fortunate that I got a couple of fellowships to did MBA in e-governance from Switzerland, Lausanne. Similarly, I have attended about 25 global best universities in the world. I attend university in Japan, in China, in America, all over the world. So I'm very fortunate that I got opportunity to study, and this is the reason that I always proud and I always agree to deliver such kind of talk despite of little busy in my other activities. But I want to share this experience of my learning. The gender equality is another a very important SDG 15 SDGs target. The clean water, the affordable energy. The most important targets are the you can see the climate action, life below water, and the life on land. So these SDGs are very important because we are working on ecosystem restoration. If we are able to conserve the biodiversity below the water, on the land, we will able to contribute to these 7 SDGs. No poverty, zero hunger, the good health, the affordable and the clean energy, the decent work, the climate action, and the peace and the justice. Now you can understand that how, if you are contributing to the biodiversity, how the zero hunger can be achieved. When we are talking about the zero hunger, definitely there will be a good health and the well-being. When we are having food and education and good health, there must be the decent work. We will having a resilient, the climate resilient society, and definitely we will having peace and justice. So these are the things. If we are aligning our research, if we are talking about something related to the ecosystem restoration, we just thought about it. Now I briefly talk about the national biodiversity targets because this is also very important and pertinent to understand that why the government of India and why the whole world is talking about the biodiversity conservation. So you perhaps know about the Convention on Biological Diversity, which was signed in 1992, and in 2010 they again come with the Aichi target. These are the 20 targets. In Japan, they found that the world is progressing, what we should progress in terms of biodiversity conservation, and they propose a strategic plan, and they will allow governments and the different countries to design your own actions and targets, because it is very difficult to align Asian problem with the African problems, with the European problems of the biodiversity conservation, with Australian problems. So all these countries are having a different set of the ecosystems. So they allow the countries to decide their national biodiversity target. And Government of India come with this plan, the national policy and the macro strategy plan in 99. And based on that, these 12 national biodiversity targets has been designed. So it is awareness. So what I'm talking to you, it is the first target. I'm contributing towards that target. So evaluation of the valuation of the biodiversity is very important. Until and unless we know about the value of the biodiversity, we will not consider or take in our business plan. We will, until and unless we know the value of the biodiversity and the ecosystem services, we don't think about the conservation. Safeguarding the nature habitat, it is very, very important. Managing the invasive species, these are the species which are growing uncontrolled and they are damaging to the forest and the sustainable landscapes. So all these things are very important. And these 12 targets, just the protecting the traditional knowledge. So the question arises that how the species are losing because we don't have knowledge about these species. Now there is a time to restore this knowledge, protect the knowledge. You perhaps heard about some of the intellectual property right and the patent issue related to the rice and the species related to neem. So all these things, the traditional knowledge lies in India, but other people are earning the money. So the managing the genetic diversity, which is very important. So many rice species, so many grain species were there in the past, but because we are not conserving, we are not focusing, and managing this genetic diversity is also very important. So if we are contributing to the national biodiversity targets, as you know, there is a mining business for Tata Steel who support. So the mobile phones which you are having in your hands, without mining, you cannot if you are doing the sustainable mining, you will contribute to 6 national biodiversity target. You have perhaps seen the national map of India of mineral resources and the forest map of India. So you will find that these maps are overlying. Wherever there is a coal, wherever there is a iron ore, wherever the minerals are there, there is a forest. So there is a forest diversion is required. So need to cut a forest. So the compulsory afforestation is required. So most of the forestry activities also supported by the mining companies. So this is the reason that if you are doing a sustainable forest management, you will contribute to the 6 national biodiversity targets. Similarly, you perhaps seen these agriculture fields in many of these mining areas near to the villages. Agriculture is dependent on it. So under the CSR activities, you can contribute to the sustainable agriculture, and with that you can contribute to the 8 national biodiversity targets. So if you are having any question, I can take a pause a minute before going to the next section. So any question? Okay, if not, so I'm tackling you another very serious problem which is around us. So you read about it, you perhaps know about it, and I think several IITs has done some research on the air quality modeling, and I think IIT Kanpur has produced some of wonderful report on it. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So these are the some of the pollutant, and the World Health Organization has identified globally. So in the room where I am sitting, there is a benzene, there is a carbon monoxide, formaldehyde. So all these gases basically from the furniture, whatever we are using, these are emitting, and they've identified globally. Although this room looks clean, in the rooms in which you are sitting, they look clean, but they are having indoor pollution, indoor air quality pollution. Most of the world is talking about the outdoor air quality because it seems, but the indoor air quality has not seen, so we did not talk about it. So this is a problem, and the solution is in your hands. So the cancer, headache, and these are the problems now you can see in this urban setup. Many of the kids are suffering with the respiratory problem, sensitive irritation problem. So these problems are very common among all of us, whosoever is living in these modern houses. And the reason, because the indoor air quality is not up to the mark, which is damaging our health. NASA has done the research, I have done some research, and I think I also have some research on that. So there are the particular plants, if you are keeping these plants, we are growing them in the gardens, we are putting them outside, but not indoor. So if you are putting this aloe vera and the bamboo palm in your house, in your room, in your classrooms, in your offices, you find that they will absorb the benzene, formaldehyde, and the carbon monoxide. And once you are keeping this plant, that will help in improving the air quality in your house. There is a solution. People are suggesting to use the air purifier, but these air purifier are not the sustainable solution. And there are several problems are now attracting with the air purifiers. There are few more plants, the spider plant, the mother-in-law tongue. So if you're keeping few plants in your house, in your room, that will help in absorbing the chemical pollutant which I have shared with you. So that can help in improving air quality. The money plant, very, very common, and that can be grown very easily. This plant did not require much sunlight, much of the water. You can grow them simply indoor. And these plants are very easily available. You can buy them online. So this is a solution for your improving the health, improving your air quality. So you could be part of the solution. Now I'm talking about another big problem in the urban setup, in universities, in colleges, in offices, and this is the reason of damaging to the ecosystem. So if you are going to manage this kitchen waste, definitely you provide a solution to the nature in terms of conserving the ecosystem. So most of the big land masses in the cities covered by the waste, we can convert them into the composting. So this is are the simple composter. You can buy a green bin, domestic composter, and you can convert all the kitchen waste into the composting, and you can use this into making the organic gardening at your home. So just we are having additional, I think, 15 minutes to go. Now this is the most important slide about which I want to talk, because this slide is related between you and my health. Until and unless we will think about our health, we cannot survive for a long time. We cannot contribute to the society. We cannot contribute to our generation. Sanitation is one very, very normal problem. And many of the people who cross at the age of 40, they're also having a diabetes problem. Dengue and malaria because of onset of monsoon, this is another problem. So these problems are there, and there is a solution also for this problem. In case if we are using these medicinal plants, these are the plants which you can grow in the gardens, in your balconies, in your outside your rooms, and that can help in improving your immunity as well. So until and unless we think about our good health, so this COVID-19 problem has clearly indicated that if our immunity is not good, we are going to be impacted. Those who have not taken the vaccine, I take the vaccine. This is the most important thing which we can do for our life. So you can use ashwagandha capsules or tablets. These are available in the market, the Ayurveda. And basically in the past, these all things were our balanced diet. And now what happened, because of urbanization, we are not able to find these plants in our community. So we are not able to consume them. That's why our health is deteriorating. We don't getting the balanced diet, and all these problems are arising. So you can grow these plants. Even in IIT, you can make your garden of these medicinal plants. Now I'm talking the most important, this is another important slide. How you can conclude. So I suggest please make a some nature club, so you can get more such kind of information. You can have more like-minded people who talk about the nature, who care about it, and that is also good for your mental health. Please try to plant as much as flower plants, so you can help in conservation of pollinators. Please plant the trees which are having the fruits and the flower, so again it will improve the ecosystem. So those who are attending this session, I request you, please plant some tree wherever in your hostels, wherever you are, so that can help in improving the ecosystem. Take a walk conserve the water. The mantra reduce, reuse, and recycle. So it will help in reducing the pollution. Similarly, try to visit the botanical garden. Now there are virtual botanical gardens are available. So you can visit the Washington DC, some of the botanical garden online. So I had been there. You can see the botanical garden of Singapore, Australia. So all these now available. Even in Tata, in Jamshedpur, we are having our zoo. So you can also virtually visit. You can go to our Facebook page and you can see some of the videos how you can how we are managing these animals. Similarly, you can keep some of the bird feeder and plant some of the nest, or you can put some of the bird bath, so you can help in supporting the birds in the rainy season. Just I'm recapping for another refreshment that what I have talked in the last 40 minutes. So I talked about the emerging trends. I talked about the mass extinction. I talked about the SDG 14 and 15 derivation, and I'm sure now all these engineers will remember these SDGs, and you will try to align your research work with the national biodiversity targets. I also talked some very simple solutions to our society. With I'm closing my talk. These are my contact details. So we are having some 10 minutes, so we can talk and take some questions. Thank you very much for your listening, and thank you very much for IIT Kanpur for inviting me for this talk.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed a very interesting talk, and while listening to your talk, I was just thinking to plan some activity with Material Advantage members, and where they can post some pictures how they are conserving the biodiversity after listening to your talk, and we'll definitely share those pictures with you as well. I would like Dr. Kantesh Balani, the faculty advisor of Material Advantage IIT Kanpur, to please say a few words and thank the speaker.
Yes, I think it was indeed a pleasure, Dr. Hishmi, for listening to your talk. It was so nice, I think, to hear from you. You were sharing your knowledge, and the passion, I think, was very evident. You talked about, I think, so many things. I think, oh my God, I mean, I am very impressed by kind of the experience you've gathered. Talking from biodiversity, mass extinction, and then we have to become a part of solution in the end, and also how the plants are actually being helpful for purifying the air, talk about water cycles, and then also talking about composting. Oh my God, I mean, I'm so pleased to see so much variety coming from you. And I also actually had one more thing to add. So Dr. Devashish Bhattacharya, actually vice president from Tata Steel in the I think I'm forgetting the division, but he also talked or emphasized, I think he gave a talk, I think 2 days back, 27th, to a limited group, but he also emphasized a lot on ecosystem and conserving it. So nice to, I think, see the similar thought again being conveyed from you, and also on the occasion of on the basically the environmental day. So I think it's nicely coinciding that you are speaking on that. So nice. I don't know how to again thank you, because really it is such a pleasure, and also hearing so many things which I was not aware of at all. So I think you have told so many things, and also you have also told about people to join this nature club, plant a tree. So nice. I mean, so nice to see from your end. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
You're welcome. So I think Selena there is a hand raised by Selena. So we are having, I think, 10 minutes, so we can take the question.
Hello, sir. Thank you very much for the great lecture. I mean, it was a very informative session after all. So there's one question, since you actually belong to a corporate, so I have a question related to that. So, I mean, for example, the question majorly focuses on how the corporates are, doing in the fields of biodiversity, ecosystem restoration work, since most of these corporate sectors are involved into exhaustive energy consumption, and that are like non-renewable sources, and then there are like fossil industries which are well supported and backed by the governments as well. So I mean, how we are going to, I mean, work with those things out? That's a question. Yes, sir.
So thank you for your question. So giving the proper reply to your question, I just sharing you how the corporates are doing for the biodiversity. So we have done a mining. So you perhaps know that we are having the mines in Odisha and Jharkhand. So this is one of our mine in Jharkhand, which is a coal mine. So we are doing the mining last almost 80 years. So we have reclaimed, we have restored this 100-hectare land into a beautiful biodiversity park. So we have done Miyawaki plantation, we have created butterfly garden, hibiscus garden, and the medicinal plant garden. So this is something that you can see the picture before and after. So how that was barren and degraded, annihilated land was there, and we have converted it into a very beautiful space to contribute to the biodiversity. So this is one of the example of ecosystem restoration, how the corporate like Tata Steel is doing. This is another example we have done at Jamshedpur. So you can see this dirty water body, and I am sure that in Kanpur also you have seen such kind of water bodies. So we have converted this slushy pond full of algae, and so this bad smell, everything you can imagine if you have closely passed from that into this beautiful space. You can see this before and after, you can now understand. So we have converted this into a beautiful pond, which is now accumulating about 82,000 kiloliter of water, rainwater. So this rainwater harvesting is happening. It is now a space for the migratory birds. It helps in improving the aesthetic value as well as reducing pollution in the area in a 5.6 hectare land. Now you can understand that if we are converting in such a way or improving the biodiversity, and CII also awarded this program under their Water Excellence Award, because we provided a solution which help in reducing the pollution, which help in conservation of biodiversity, which also help in providing the livelihood to the people. So the sustainability, the economy, the environment, and the social, all these three things are successfully implemented. And this is a classical example of SDG 15, that how you can convert and how you can conserve the biodiversity. So this was the example from the corporate, as you asked about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. That's a very, I mean, pretty good work that is going on around. So obviously we can have like more efforts be doing in the fields of energy sector as well. So definitely it's a very, I mean, good initiative, and I wish you all the best of luck for your efforts. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering that.
So I hope, yeah.
Yes, sir. Go on.
No, Shruti, just I am telling that you perhaps recorded my email ID or my WhatsApp number, so you may contact, as well as you can connect me on LinkedIn, as well as on Twitter. You can follow, so you will get more update about the ecosystems, the services, biodiversity, whatever, if you are interested in it.
Sure, sir. Are there any more questions from the audience?
Yeah, I would like to just, I think it's on a personal note.
Yes.
I think you also have been to Lucerne, right? So Switzerland, and also in India. So if you can share some of your personal, I think, experiences there and here, like what differences I think can be brought about, or how things can be made different, it will be helpful.
So there is only perception difference. So whatever I have been taught at Aligarh Muslim University, whatever I have taught in FRI Dehradun, so only the difference I found their evaluation procedure is more on thinking based and how differently you are thinking. So one of the things that I'm not boasting about myself, I'm sorry, because the question you asked is in which I need to tell and give my example. So I got some first division throughout my career when I was studied in India, and I worked very hard to get this first division. And when I went to the study in abroad in Netherlands and Switzerland, so most of the time I traveled and I enjoyed most. But my marks were more in Switzerland and more in Netherlands in comparison to what I was getting in India. So this is the difference, that in India, when we are writing some paper or when we are giving some reply, people don't accept these reply if these are not aligned with the conventional proved things. So I did I want to share about my two research paper. One I did on the e-governance model for environment decision making in mining. So that was my working paper in Lausanne. I was evaluating that how the global policies and how the policies in India could be formulated, so we can have a more transparency while we are taking the decision in the e-governance. So I was talking of 2008. So now you can understand that in 2008, I got exposed to the paperless government in Estonia when I have visited Tallinn. So the whole government was working on paperless. But in India, still as on date, or even in our institute, we need to have all this hard copy, signature, verification. So still, this is a great difference. The other thing is the autonomy in terms of the thoughts you are having. So your professor only will help you to design your problem. He will not help you to go how to find the solution about it. So I meet my professor who was from London School of Economics when I was in Hague, in Netherlands. So I met him only twice for my research paper. So only once I decide the problem, and second when I finally presented. So in between, he never bothered me. He never. I tried to ask him that please guide me, tell me, just like all other Indian students ask about guidance and guidance. So he has not guided me. So I'm happy that he has given me the confidence that what I am doing only I need to collect the information and justify it with my knowledge. So this is the major difference, that in India, you find the professor got angry if you are arguing against their knowledge, and in foreign, you will not find this kind of risk associated. That whether you are accepting him, whether you are giving him respect, he is hardly bothered about it until and unless you are doing some good research.
Thank you. Thank you.
So now it is 5 p.m. So thank you.
Okay, sir. I think there are no more questions from the audience as well. So I would like to thank you, sir, for joining in, and I would also like to thank Zainul for organizing this event. Thank you, Zainul, for approaching, sir, and organizing this wonderful event. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think few hands are still raised. Okay. Thank you. So you can contact me. Thank you and wish you all the best. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.